I'm Shua, and you are listening to Light Up with Shua, a weekly podcast to open our hearts and minds on a journey with me. Hi, Sumi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for taking out time.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking forward to talking to you today.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
So, would you like to tell me about yourself briefly, who you are and what do you do?
Well, I'm Sumi Mukherjee. I'm an author and a speaker. I've written 3 books. We're working on a 4th one right now.
Oh.
And basically, my
Do you have a
stories are
title?
about...
Do you have a
I'm
title?
sorry?
Do you have a title?
For the 4th one?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's still in the works.
Oh, okay.
Still in the works, yeah.
Surprise.
Yes, exactly. It'll be a surprise.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
But I've written and published 3 books that are based on true stories that have a lot of meaning to me, that, real issues that take place in life that come up in people's everyday lives that I think are and all of the stories ended up being very interesting. And I think there's a lot that average people like myself, that can learn a lot from these stories. So that's the purpose of trying to get them out there and just trying to make a positive difference through doing that.
Thank you. Excellent.
Yes.
And let's say we will talk about your books and why
Sure.
you wrote those. But before that, I kind of know that you don't have your own biological children. Would you like to talk
Yes.
about how you are involved with the children that I heard from you that you are involved and you know so many? So talk about it instead of me explaining.
Oh, sure. No, just over the years, I've come to have a lot of friends in the Twin Cities area and stuff. And although I don't have any biological kids of my own, a lot of my friends have ended up having kids, or their friends have kids, and then these kids have somehow just always gravitated towards me. And I've always loved kids. I had a really positive upbringing, and I think, childhood should be. I mean, life is tough. Life can be tough, but I think childhood should be one of those times where it's carefree, and everyone deserves to have a good start, a good childhood. And at least that's how I see it.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so I try to give back to kids as much as I can. And so there's many kids, probably close to 10 or so, that are a pretty regular part of my life.
Oh.
That they talk to me whenever they feel like it. It's very easy in this day and age to communicate because, everybody has a phone. And it can be, a text message or a message on Messenger or something. But a lot of them, they just need a friend. They just need somebody to be there, someone that can. It's unique because I can kind of fill the role of being like a fun buddy for them.
Okay. Mentoring
And
also?
at the same time, though, I can be that fun buddy, someone they think is really cool to talk to and stuff. So they don't necessarily feel like they're, always like they're talking to a grown-up or something. An adult, right. Yeah. But when it comes to giving advice and things that they really need to hear, I'm able to do that too.
So can you talk about what age group you're talking here?
Basically,
what the range? Like what range?
Range is from like 7, 8 to 20s.
So you have become an expert in talking with the quite young children, and 20s is like old adolescents and almost adults, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So do you see any of these children in person also, or are they all long distance?
Some are long distance, some are in person, some are long distance, and then sometimes in person.
Okay. So which ones do you find you can connect more easily?
I think the older ones are a little easier to connect with because they all have mobile devices that they can use. Some of the younger kids don't necessarily have, access to phones and stuff, because most of the people I talk to, I don't really see on a regular basis, but they know that I'm always there and they can always come to me and they can always shoot me a text at 3 a.m. or any
really?
other time.
Wow.
I might be asleep, but I will see it the next day.
So do you attend at that time, or do you defer it till the morning or the next day?
It depends really.
On the call.
I'm more of an evening person when I can be.
Okay.
When I'm traveling and speaking, I get up early in the morning, but I tend to be more of a night owl, I think. So when I've done most of my writing and stuff has been at night when everyone's asleep and stuff. It's kind of my time to do that stuff. I don't know.
So what have you found? Like, why are they calling you 3 a.m? What is there a common denominator with the issues? Girls or boys both call you? Both genders? Any specific gender is more inclined towards your mentorship or your buddyship? How would you say?
I think it's both, really. It's males and females. I think the guys, the girls like to talk more, I think.
Oh, really?
The guys are more like, hey, let's get together and do something, And then they talk then, but they're not so much the type that talk on the phone and stuff. But I think more of the females really like to talk on the phone or FaceTime or, send messages every day and stuff like that. So I just try to be there for them, and I have the time because I don't have wife and kids of my own yet. I have a girlfriend now, and hopefully that's going to continue to go in a positive direction. But right now, I don't have a wife and kids, so I have a little more of that time to give. And whenever they reach out to me, I want to be there because it's kind of like these are the kids in my life, and they may not be biological, and I may not be their biological parent, but I'm really there for them. And one of them even told me recently that you're so good because you can goof around with us and have fun with us, but then when we really need advice, you can give us like grown up advice too.
So coming back to that, that's very nice. I mean, I think we all need that, even if we are older. I think we need somebody to talk to. Doesn't matter how young. And I think
also being able to be silly with them and connect with them in kind of a goofy way when they really get into trouble, I'm the one they come to.
So they're more comfortable because they're relaxed. They trust you. Yeah. The trust is there actually.
And then they're
like
really,
you're not judging them. I guess that's part of it. Yeah, that must be the part
advice,
of it.
I definitely let them know that if they're doing something that I think is risky or I think is not age appropriate, that kind of thing, that I definitely let them know that. But I don't judge.
What do you encounter with the youth? What do you find are the most common questions, or what is the help they need from you commonly? Is there a commonality, a string between all the age groups, or?
The younger ones, it's like before teenage years. It's typically family issues, things going on in the family, things going on at home. A lot of kids I talk to have situations where they've had death in the family, or they have divorce, or the parents are in and out of relationships, that kind of thing. So there's the instability in general.
Okay.
And I think those are the kids that kind of end up finding me more quickly, and then I try to kind of be there because I was lucky. I had a really stable upbringing at home anyway. My home life was very good, and so I can kind of able to give that. And then older kids, teenagers and stuff, it's much more about drug pressures to drink, pressures to do drugs. Dating is a very, very big one. How far to go in their dating relationships with, physical affection and stuff like that. And that becomes and just how to, what dating relationships, the drama, the turmoil, the stress that's involved in dating and, that kind of thing. It's a dominant issue is wanting to, especially teenagers, it's really wanting to get their freedom, getting to the point where, they're starting to get their license, be able to drive, and that point where they feel grown up, but they're not quite grown up yet. So they still have to follow their parents' rules, and it's a tough spot to be.
So how much have you found that parents are aligned or conscious about their children? Are they too at 180 degrees or at 90 degrees? Like, where do you find the parents in general? Are parents missing something, or are this just the teenagers or the younger people rebellious about it?
I think it's all different kinds. I mean, it depends on the specific person I'm talking to, I think, but it's all of those, everywhere in between. I mean, it's parents, I think, are really trying their best. And sometimes I think parents and kids just get, and I think maybe if I had my own biological kids, maybe it wouldn't be as easy for me all the time because I'd actually be parenting them 24 hours a day and I'd be having to tell them what to do. This is kind of more like a distant parenting where they kind of come to me and I'm able to be the fun person and I'm able to give some necessary advice. So they kind of take it better from me. I'm not the one that has to be there to tell them 6 a.m, get up for school, get up for school, get up for school. You can't keep lying in bed. Get up, get up, get up. You know, I think it'd be different that way.
That's true.
I think parents, I think most of the parents for the most part really do try, but I think at times they have their own personal issues that get in the way and the kids aren't feeling, the parents aren't feeling respected. The parents aren't feeling like they're being listened to. The kids aren't feeling like they're being listened to. And there's that divide that I think just comes with the phase in life that they're at. And it's tough. It is a tough spot to be for the parents and for the kids.
So do you have success stories or are they all struggling?
It's both. They're all, I think every day is a success story.
Okay.
You know, every day is a success story. And these kids are always, you know, every kid is growing and learning. And that's the great thing about, as long as we have it tomorrow, we can always make a change, you know? So, but there's struggles, but there's, I've always felt that, you know, every struggle is worth going through because giving up or not being around is just not an option. Life is, even when my life personally was at its very, 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 very worst, I would still rather be alive than not be. So I think it can be a struggle, but it can also be a success every day.
So when you say your home life has been always stable, that means between your parents that they were stable at home, but were they able to equip you? Because talk about the bullying issue that you have, because were your parents equipped for that?
In some ways they were, in some ways they were not. They were in the way that they were always there for me. I always had an open door. No matter what I was going through or what was happening to me, I knew I could tell them. I knew I could share with them. And I would never get a reaction ever like, hey, you know, I don't want to hear about this. I heard about this yesterday. I'm sure you're doing some things too to bother these people. You know, I'm sure you're provoking some of this. And, you know, I'm busy watching the game or I'm busy doing something else. I've got friends to go out with. I don't want to listen to this again. You know, why don't you deal with it on your own? And I'm sure you're exaggerating. I'm sure it's not as bad as you say. No, I always got full validation of my position and how I felt. And that really sustained me when I think other people, if that validation hadn't been, even when they said, you know, we're doing everything we can to make this stop and there's nothing we can do to make it stop. At least I knew that I was validated. How I felt was okay. I was right to feel this way. What was happening was wrong, even if we're not able to stop it. And I think when not equipped would be, I think some naivety of, and it's hard to say because I don't really want to criticize them, but just some naivety of the consequences, unintended consequences of coming to a different country from where they grew up and being in an environment, growing up in an environment where their kids would unfortunately very sharply stand out from the rest of the population. And I think they didn't really think of that, I think. And they were naive to it. They didn't really, they felt, I think, that we've had many conversations about this. My parents felt that, well, maybe they would be seen as different because they had accents, you know, and they might be seen as a second-class citizen, but they felt that, hey, our kids will be like everybody else. And my parents didn't really think about things like diversity because they saw all human beings as all human beings. You know, we all bleed the same color. So what actual skin color we have doesn't really matter to my parents. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, but it didn't matter to them, but everybody else around them.
The world is not quite there yet, up to that idea. And that was very difficult, very, very difficult, still to this day, to outwardly appear strikingly different from the general population, even though inside you're no different than anyone else.
Right.
But to appear, be perceived as being different from the population around you is a burden to bear, and it shouldn't be a burden to. It shouldn't be, but
so
the reality is it is.
How can parents be mindful of that? What can you advise from your experience of mentoring and being there for younger, and from your own experience and looking at your parents, not to criticize them? What can you give us for the parents?
I think there's a lot of things. I think that's kind of a broad question, but I think in general, at least what pertained to me was that getting kids to understand that different is not bad.
Okay.
Somebody that has something different about them. There's a wonderful movie now. Oh, shame on me for forgetting the name. What was the name of that movie that I just saw? That with this young boy that with Owen Wilson and Julia Roberts as the parents, playing the parents, and it's this young boy that has a facial issue. And he's homeschooled his whole life, and then starting in like 5th or 6th grade, they send him to public school. And he really stands out as appearing on the outside to be different than everyone else. And some of the negativity he encounters at first, it's a Disney movie, so eventually he wins everybody's hearts. But in real life, it doesn't always work quite like that. We wish it did. That's why it's a great movie to see.
Send me the name later so I can put it on the link for parents to watch it.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. I can. I'll do that.
Yeah. Okay. So,
but I think just getting people to understand that differences are not bad. I mean, if somebody's different, we don't have to fear them. We don't have to hate them. We don't have to treat them differently because outwardly they appear different in some way, whatever that way might be. For me, it was my race, my ethnicity, the color of my skin. For this young man in the story, it was something he was born with, that his face looked a little bit not like most people's faces. It wasn't anything he could control or his fault either. And I think just this feeling of if something looks different, we're going to keep them out. We're going to treat them differently. It's like it's okay to be negative towards that individual and not treat them like an individual. That just has to change somewhere. We need to stop sending that message that it's such a bad thing.
That's true.
Everybody is different in some way. Yeah,
that's true. That's a very important message that you're giving. Any couple of more, suggestions like that are very important or on the top of the list? Something like, okay, different is okay, nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be, and anything else? Any suggestion, any advice? Because then I'm going to come to the last leg of questions with you.
Sure. I think I think the best thing really to say to both sides would be try a little bit to empathize with the other's position, the situation that they're in. But it's easier to say from the outside. It's hard to do when you're a kid and you're in that position where you're feeling like you don't need to listen to your parents anymore. You're all grown up. And then the parents, on the other hand, they're still responsible for getting you to do the things you need to do because you're still 16 or 15 or whatever. So it's kind of like to try to be patient with each other and have empathy for try to put yourself in the other one's shoes. I think everyone in general could benefit more from doing that.
So how do you learn empathy?
That's a good question. I think it starts from the time you're very young. The time you...
Do you learn it or is it part of you?
That's a good question.
Well, you can think about it more, and if you have an answer, you can go ahead.
I think it's both. I think it's a little bit of both.
Little bit of both.
Yeah.
So,
or a lot of both. It's hard to say, maybe.
How did you learn to be empathetic? Do you consider yourself empathetic person?
Yeah, I think it was in my nature, but also I was raised by, very by parents that were that way towards other people. So it was,
So it
I
was
think if
learned.
a kid grows up in a home where they see their parents being, cold-hearted or manipulative or something, they naturally they learn to be that way. And I think I saw my parents being, compassionate, empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
They were always empathetic to me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I never felt like I wasn't a priority to them, which I know is really, really fortunate because a lot of kids do grow up feeling that they're not a priority to their parents.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably where I learned. I've always felt it's in my nature to care about other people, but it's probably has something to do with the fact that I grew up in a home where that was reinforced again and again.
Yeah, in what's your experience? Have you found, because if it is in everybody, then you must have, because you meet a lot of people and young people. So from that point, I'm trying to ask, within your experience, what have you found, any other characteristics like empathy? Okay, do you learn listening? How do you become a good listener? Because I'm sure you are a good listener. So did you learn to be a listener, or you were always that way? How do you teach children to learn to listen, or the parents?
I try to show by example that, when they come to me, I listen, I listen to what they're saying. I don't judge. I certainly give them my thoughts, but, which it gets difficult if they're doing something that's, really that they shouldn't be doing, then you kind of have to let that be known to them. And maybe even in some cases get the parents involved if it's something that they really, really shouldn't be doing. But I try not to judge them ever. Not to make so that they come back to me again, and that if they're ever really in a tight spot where they could be in trouble and they have no one to go to, they can have somebody to go to.
So could you talk about bullying? What can we, because after attending the summit where I met you, I realized that I had already understood and learned that it is an issue, but it is not so well addressed in our communities or in our schools. So can you talk about it a bit, like how can we address more and how can we learn more about it, and what can we do to
I think it is a lot better addressed, or at least it's a lot better acknowledged that it exists than it was 30 years ago. Because now I go into schools and there's, signs all over the school that say this is a no bully zone and no bullying here and all this. And they never had that when I was growing up in elementary, middle school, or high school. They never had any of that. Now I give talks all over the country. When I'm speaking to young people, kids and stuff, I say, how many of you have heard about bullying on TV, or have heard about bullying in the media, have heard about bullying in the news, and everybody's heard about it. So that's good. The awareness is there, but I think sometimes actual action
skills to handle for the children or the schools,
for the schools. I think more needs to be done by the people in charge at school to ensure a safe and humane environment for everybody to get their education fairly.
Do you talk about this in your books, that how you can learn to equip yourself or educate yourself in order for the parents or the schools to be aware and to tackle this issue?
I think what my book does is it really shows, it's like a case study. It shows how it can impact someone's life and how it can even lead to or contribute to mental illness. The devastating lifelong impact it can have on a person. And I think those are lessons that I think, so often, teachers and principals and stuff, I think they're getting better, and I give them credit for that. But I think in my experience anyway, growing up, and from what I've heard even today, when parents and kids come to me, they say that they feel, sometimes the schools at times feel like it's not their job. Their job is to teach academics. Their job is not to deal with bullying or issues that happen between the kids at the school. And I think by sharing stories like mine of the devastation it causes in a life, that they don't even have any idea it could cause that kind of devastation, I don't think, that they see that part of our job is also to deal with bullying. It happens at school. We're the people there at school. We're the adults in charge of minors. We need to make it a safe environment for all the kids. And it is part of our job. It's not just to teach. It's to make it a safe environment, make it a humane environment. For many kids, it's not. And to allow everyone to get their education, because it does affect your education going further down the road.
Thank you. What is to live a healthy, fulfilling life in your viewpoint, if you can briefly say anything about it?
I think to live a life where you're kind and you help others, because by being kind and helping others, you're really rewarding yourself too. I mean, it just, every time I'm able to do something positive for, the kids in my life, the pets in my life, my parents, my girlfriend, my friends, it really gives your life such a positive purpose and meaning, and you feel positive. Little things can start frustrating you or getting you stressed or getting you depressed or getting you anxious and all this stuff. But when you focus more on that positivity that you have, I think that's how you do that.
So how do you get out of stress, or how do you manage stress? Let's see what you do. So maybe we can learn from you.
It depends. If you're just talking about daily stresses, that's one thing. If you're talking about the stress that comes with having an anxiety disorder,
talk about that, because lots of people have that, right?
I think it's being willing to step outside your comfort zone, being willing to try things to figure out what exactly it is that is troubling you, being willing to, talk to a therapist, talk to a mental health professional, not feel like there's stigma on you from outside or even from inside yourself for doing that. Being open to the fact that some of these things are a chemical imbalance in the brain, and you just might need a certain medicine to correct that imbalance so that it's not getting in the way of your life anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. You get a physical illness, you take, you get a fever, you take Tylenol, makes the fever go, just like for any physical ailment, we have mental ailments too, and there's nothing wrong with treating those. And I think that's for disorders that have to do with anxiety and stuff, that's very useful.
Okay. Thank you. So what is the value of gratitude in your life?
The value of gratitude?
Yeah.
Just being able to
what are you thankful about? Yeah, let's put it that way.
Take a minute to really it's about we all have I think most people have a lot of bad and a lot of good in their life. And it's very easy, even to the point of before I came on this interview today, to start thinking about the negative and get frustrated about that very quickly and feel like, well, I've had too much negative, and other people don't have as much negative as I have. Why do I have more than everybody else? And life is not fair to me, and all. It's very easy to go down that. At least for me, it's very easy. Even today, at age 41, it's very easy to do that. And by whatever positives you have in your life, you just have to build on those. You have to try to, it's an exercise. It's a work in, like you go and work out, you don't always feel like going and working out. You feel lazy, but you have to get up and make yourself do it like that. You have to make yourself focus on all the positive things you have, all the good things you have, all the things that bring you a smile on your face every day and lift your spirits every day. And really, really try to let that be in the driver's seat and not let the other stuff take over. Because all of our lives are, I think, kind of the glass is half full, the glass is half empty. Which way are you going to?
We all go through that. Yeah.
And it's going to be ongoing, I think, till the day that our life is over. We're going to have positives and we're going to have negatives. And, it's how you approach it, I think, will at least make some difference. It's a work in progress. It's nothing that I'm sitting here saying that I've got it licked. I haven't.
So at this stage, what is the purpose of your life?
Purpose of my life is to continue to appreciate the happiness I have, to spread it to other people, and to try to focus on it more.
Excellent. Excellent. So what is your happiness, if you don't mind me asking?
My happiness are all the positive people I have in my life, my pets, the kids in my life, my girlfriend, my friends, my parents.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a younger brother. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, he lives in California and he has a wife and a beautiful young son. now.
Okay. How old
Yeah.
is he? Does he ask you for help?
Not too much lately. He is 5 now.
Oh, okay. There he's too
Yeah.
young.
Yeah, a little bit young. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's nice. Do your parents consult with you about life, or do they discuss with you, or consider you that you have gone through, a lot, and you are doing very well, and working on your life and helping others and
All of the
educating
above.
others?
All
Yeah.
of the above, I think.
Okay, that's nice.
Consult with each other a lot. It's easy to do. They only live a few minutes away from me, so which is nice. And so I see them a lot, and we're very close still. So.
Oh, good. Any message of hope?
Yes. I think the message of hope is that, like I said, when my life was, and anyone that's read my first book will know what it was like. But I mean, there was so many years and years and years and years and years where life was really more or less completely miserable every day. With my mental illness, my obsessive compulsive disorder was thriving and for such a long time. And it was really like a torture, literally, to get through every day. And even then, in those worst of times, there were positive memories I had. There were good things that happened, and you get through. And I think and that's why I'm there for these kids, because I had people that got me through those darkest times. And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't have anyone. And if I can be that one for them to get them through it, I feel like I kind of owe people that, because I got through it. And that's the whole point of doing these books and stuff, is that I got through this somehow. And it's kind of a responsibility to
Giving back.
moral responsibility to help the next person get through it too.
Nice. So you're getting that hope that continued your journey, you're giving to others.
I feel there's always hope.
Yeah.
As long as there's life, there's hope.
That's good. Excellent. That's very good. Good message. Anything else you want to say before I ask you the last question?
I think I'm ready for the last question.
So my last question is, what lights you up?
What lights me up? All the things I just mentioned, all the positive I have in my life, the people that I love and care about. And I'm a very humorous person. I like to joke around and kid around.
Okay, good. I had a question about do you like to laugh? Like, do you think
all the time?
Laughter is important.
I'm a hilarious person. I like to be very, very goofy, be very, very silly.
So you were so serious today, huh? In this interview.
This is an interview. Well, most of the kids that see me giving this interview wouldn't believe, have not probably seen this side of me, because they see a very different side of me. They have seen the serious side of me too, but they are more used to the goofing around side of me.
Sure. We wouldn't mind. Maybe next time I have to, once your fourth book is out, I would like to talk to you again, and I would like you to be a little goofy so we can see the other side.
We can do that. That's not a hard request for me.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Sumi. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy holidays.
Have a wonderful weekend, Shua.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much for caring for this.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you for staying with me through this exciting episode. Please don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode of Light Up with Shua.